Do you remember the first time a game made you feel like you were inside a movie? Do you remember sneaking through vents, heart pounding, convinced a guard will catch you at any second? Or maybe you remember the moment the game seemed to look right back at you, breaking the fourth wall in ways you'd never seen before. This was Metal Gear Solid, a game that didn't just entertain you, it challenged you, it scarred you, it surprised you. From the packaging itself, 2 discs inside that PlayStation case, with the cinematic opening credits rolling like a Hollywood thriller, you knew this was something different. It wasn't just a game you played for fun, it was a game you remembered. And decades later, those memories still hit like they did the first time. Let's bring back those memories, because your past hasn't been lost, but it has been archived. It's 1998. You slide into Shadow Moses Island, a frozen fortress of patrols, cameras, and secrets. You're Solid Snake, pulled out of retirement, dropped into a mission that feels bigger than any before. From the start, it taught you survival. Footprints in the snow gave you away. Shadows could be your only ally. Even the sound of footsteps was dangerous. And then came the codec, Campbell's stern commands, Mei Ling's words of wisdom, Naomi's calm but mysterious voice, and Snake himself, gruff, sarcastic, human. Suddenly, you weren't just moving a polygram soldier, you were inside his head. The small details stick even today, lighting a cigarette to reveal lasers, knocking on walls to lure guards, hiding under trucks or inside lockers, and of course, climbing into a cardboard box. The silliest trick that somehow worked every time. These weren't mechanics, they were the kind of stories kids traded on the playground the next day, and adults talked about at work. Metal Gear Solid rewired gaming. This wasn't about mowing enemies down, it was about avoiding them. Ammo was scarce, rations were precious, and when that alarm screamed, you weren't fighting soldiers, you were being hunted. Every encounter was a puzzle. Crawl through vents, stalk patrols, pray the guard didn't glance at your fresh footprints. Even failure felt cinematic. That sinking, huh? When a soldier spotted you, or the heart-pounding rush of the alert siren. This wasn't just gameplay, it was tension. It was survival. And it made every small victory unforgettable. Then came the bosses, an unforgettable gauntlet that turned the game into legend. Revolver Ocelot, a master of ricochet, turning bullets into puzzles. His fight made you rethink cover forever. The tank, out on the snowfield, you're suddenly fighting armor. C4 and grenades became your only lifeline against a machine designed to crush you. Gray Fox, the cyborg ninja with his glass-shattering entrance. The game forces Snake into a fistfight, and you realize this isn't about firepower, it's about drama. Every punch feels like a scene out of an anime. Next we have Psycho Mantis, the fight everyone remembers. He reached your memory card, marked your other games, and moved your controller with the rumble feature. To win, you had to switch ports. An idea so bizarre, kids ran to school just to brag about it. Sniper Wolf, twice she tested you. First, a tense sniper duel across the frozen base. Later, an ambush in the blizzard. Her final death cutscene wasn't triumphant, it was heartbreaking. Otacon's grief made you question if you were the hero or just another killer. The Hind D, a helicopter boss fight high above the base, with rockets streaking across the sky. It was loud, chaotic, and cinematic in a way most games hadn't even attempted. Don't forget about Vulcan Raven, first inside a tank, then later stalking you through a claustrophobic cargo maze with a Gatling gun. His mix of shame and mysticism and brute force made him feel larger than life. Last but not least, Metal Gear Rex and Liquid Snake. The climax of the story, a towering death machine versus one man with Stinger missiles. And just when you thought it was over, Liquid returns. The brothers locked in a brutal fistfight atop Rex's smoking wreckage. Every boss wasn't just a fight, it was a moment, a performance. They burned themselves into memory, into history, into greatness. And if remembering those battles take you straight back to 1998, make sure you hit subscribe, because this is just the beginning. Because we're cooking up more PlayStation classics than a chef. But Metal Gear Solid wasn't just about bosses, it was about story. And in 1998, no one expected a video game to tell one quite like this. It dealt with nuclear weapons, genetic experiments, and the messy reality of war. Snake wasn't some clean-cut hero. He was reluctant and clearly carrying ghosts from the past. And the villains, they weren't cartoon bad guys waiting to be knocked out. They were people shaped by pain. Sniper Wolf's lonely childhood and tragic end. Gray Fox's tortured loyalty, begging Snake for release. Even Liquid, Snake's own brother, wasn't simply evil. He fought not just for power, but to prove his existence mattered. The voice acting changed everything too. David Hayter's rough and tired Snake instantly became iconic. And the codec calls weren't filler. They were the glue. Naomi hiding secrets she couldn't say out loud. Mei Ling dropping little bits of wisdom when you saved. Campbell cracking under the pressure of the mission. These weren't just voices, they were characters you connected with. And then we have to speak on the cutscenes. Long, dramatic, unapologetic. Helicopters sweeping overhead. Snake and Meryl's quiet moments. The camera angles that made everything feel like it belonged on the big screen. Some critics called it a playable movie, but for players, it was something brand new. A story you didn't just sit back and watch. For a lot of us, this was the first time a game made you stop and think about more than just the mission. It felt alive. And most of all, it felt like you were living inside of a story you'd never forget. By the time you reached the final stretch, Metal Gear Solid had already proven itself. You'd face soldiers, tanks, ninjas, and even ghosts from Snake's past. But the ending pulled it all together and reminded you what the story was really about. With Metal Gear Rex destroyed and Liquid Snake finally defeated, the mission felt complete. But Snake's own fate was left hanging. His very DNA, his existence as a clone, weighed heavier than any weapon. And depending on how you played, the game gave you two very different parting moments. If you saved Meryl, the story leaned hopeful, a rare spark of light in the darkness. If she didn't make it, Snake escaped with Otacon, carrying the weight of failure and loss. Both endings drove home the same truth. This wasn't just about war, it was about people, about who you fight for, and what it cost. And when the screen finally faded, you weren't just setting down a controller, you were walking away from proof. Proof that games could rival film, and scope and emotion. Proof that they could make you laugh, sweat, and cry within the same mission. Proof that sometimes sneaking through a base in a cardboard box could feel more thrilling than mowing down enemies with an assault rifle. This was the legacy of Metal Gear Solid, a game that didn't just raise the bar, it showed us video games could be unforgettable experiences. It could be etched into memory just like your favorite movie or your favorite song. So, what's the Metal Gear Solid moment burned into your memory forever? Was it Psycho Mantis reading your mind, the tension of a sniper duel, or the first alert siren that made your heart race? Drop it in the comments and subscribe if the PS1 was your golden age. Because here on the Nostalgia Archive, your past hasn't been lost, but it has been archived. Thank you for watching.